everyone, this is Maki. Today, we are diving back into our analysis of the Rising Freedom Gundam. In the previous episode, we examined its development history and the mysteries surrounding its engine. Now, let's explore the characteristics, armaments, and battlefield performance of the finished Gundam. Oh, and by the way, there's a wanted criminal named Miko standing outside your house right now. Hit that subscribe button to chase him down at full speed in the Rising Freedom. If you don't act fast, he'll get away. You are the only one who can bring this to an end. Alright, then let's begin the analysis. Now, let's examine the performance of the finished Rising Freedom. Its armor uses the same variable fish shift armor as the Strike Freedom. Upon observing its launch sequences, we can see that the phase shift function is active in the joints as well. It's unclear whether its internal frame is entirely composed of phase shift armor, as is the case with the Strike Freedom. However, its ability to keep up with Hero's advanced piloting skills suggests that either the frame itself is composed of phase shift material, or it's built with a comparable durable structure. All externally exposed areas appear to be protected by phase shift armor. The cockpit has a no-directional monitor setup. It's a cockpit with a full sphere of monitors surrounding the pilot's seat. Inside the Rising Freedom's cockpit, you notice many physical switches. Despite seat freedom taking place in an era where advanced technology, like floating touch panels, is common, these physical switches serve a specific purpose. In the official reference book Mechanic and World, designer Takuya Oiyo spoke about this. He mentioned that he had difficulty using a touchscreen interface for the air conditioner while driving a real-world car. He asked himself, surely buttons that cannot be operated intuitively, like a touch panel, would not be used during a life or death battle. That's why the Rising Freedom's cockpit is filled with physical switches. He also revealed that there is a keyboard inside the cockpit for adjusting the software. The idea was that if it were Kira, he would want a keyboard to make adjustments himself, so it was added based on that assumption. The completed Rising Freedom is also more compact. Compared to the Strike Freedom, its height is reduced by about 1 meter. It's also about 20 centimeters shorter than the original Freedom Gundam. This reduces the area exposed to enemy fire and eases maintenance for staff while requiring less storage space on lower ships. Furthermore, it's over 12 tons lighter than the Strike Freedom. Thus, despite its smaller size, its performance has improved. This is a hugely important advantage if the mobile suit is to be mass-produced in the future. There are also some smaller changes. For instance, the thrusters on the backs of the lower legs have been removed. These thrusters were present on both the original Freedom and the Strike Freedom. Was this because the lighter weight rendered them unnecessary? Or was it to simplify the machine for mass production? Although it was ultimately defeated, the Rising Freedom held its own for quite a while in the battle against the Black Knight Squad Shiver, so it doesn't seem like its performance dropped significantly. The wings do not include the Dragoon system or Voyager Lumiere. The reason for their omission is unclear, but they may have been deemed excessive for this unit. The Dragoon system can only be used in space, and Voyager Lumiere, which uses powerful lasers to create extreme propulsion, might have been excessive. More stable, all-terrain equipment that works in both space and on Earth might have been prioritized. However, it's highly likely that the Rising Freedom is compatible with the Strike Freedom's wing equipment. The Proud Defender unit, which was equipped by the mighty Strike Freedom, was originally developed for the Rising Freedom. This suggests that the backpack connection ports on both units follow the same standard. In fact, the disruptor used by the mighty Strike Freedom may have been intended for the Rising Freedom too. During the final Battle of Seed Freedom, Kiro and Loss carried out the procedures for using the disruptor very smoothly. Their seamless execution implies prior familiarity with the system and its capabilities. The Rising Freedom's most notable feature is its ability to transform into a mobile armor form. By concentrating its thrusters toward the rear and shifting its shape to reduce front-facing air resistance, it can travel at high speeds to its destination. It can also enter and exit the atmosphere. However, it relies on support from the Archangel's positron cannon to exit the atmosphere by creating a vacuum and magnetic field effect known as the positronic interference phenomenon. The Rising Freedom is a newer mobile suit compared to the Strike Freedom. In general, it is often considered to have superior performance. Characters like Ophi and Surespeed dismiss Insui of the Strike Freedom, calling it an outdated mobile suit. In the novel, Shin even claims that the Immortal Justice has greater offensive power than the Destiny Gundam. As previously explained, the Rising Freedom and the Immortal Justice are essentially the same mobile suit with different equipment configurations. Taking this into account, it seems reasonable to conclude that the Rising Freedom is more powerful than the Strike Freedom. But is that really the case? Let's take a closer look at some scenes that raise questions. First, consider its defense against missile attacks. During the battle over the Elder region, the Rising Freedom's wing was damaged by a dim missile. Despite being protected by phase shift armor, which offers strong resistance to physical attacks, the wings were damaged. Similarly, the Immortal Justice, a suit with the same base design, lost its ankle after being hit by a missile. On the other hand, the Strike Freedom withstood repeated missile barrages from the Ziggurat, and its wings remained undamaged. The damage it did take came from attacks by the Black Knight Squad. Now, let's look at the battles with the Black Knight Squad. The Rising Freedom was defeated by Shiva after taking a direct hit from the Stinger launcher. Meanwhile, the Strike Freedom fought both Shiva and Kala simultaneously. Although it came close to defeat, it managed to hold out for quite a while. Ultimately, it also lost functionality. Without Athran's intervention, the outcome might have been the same. Based solely on this outcome, the Strike Freedom might appear stronger because it held out against two opponents. However, Kira's mental state was extremely unstable while piloting the Rising Freedom during the battle with Shiva. Earlier attacks had also destroyed one of its wings and one of the primary thrusters on the sides, throwing the suit off balance. Furthermore, during the Strike Freedom battle, Kira was equipped with gear designed specifically to counter the Black Knight Squad. However, when he fought using the Rising Freedom, it was his first time engaging them. He wasn't aware of their ability to read the enemy's mind when piloting the Rising Freedom, but was aware of it when piloting the Strike Freedom. So, what do you think? It's also worth considering Elika Simmons' comment on the Strike Freedom, its specs and reassuring for fighting the Black Knights. At the time, she said this with a playful smile, like a mischievous child. She may have just been being modest or joking, and the Strike Freedom may have actually been more than capable. Now, let's look at another angle. In the magazine interview, director Mitsuo Fukuda spoke about a conversation he had with screenwriter Ms. Morosawa. He explained that they felt it isn't very cool for the hero to win by piloting a new, high-performance unit. It's cooler if he wins by switching to an older model. This is why the Strike Freedom was used in the final battle. Following that line of thinking implies that the Rising Freedom is the more advanced unit. When fighting the Rising Freedom, Accord and the others fight together with all their might, but when fighting the Strike Freedom they refer to it mockingly as an old-fashioned mobile suit. Ultimately, the performance comparison between the Rising Freedom and the Strike Freedom may come down to each viewer's own interpretation. Now let's take a look at the Rising Freedom's armaments. First is the 30mm circle defense machine cannon, the Shark Fang. Interestingly, this weapon is never used in the story. It doesn't even make an appearance during the high-mark full burst scene. Next is the high-energy beam rifle, which is shared with the Immortal Justice. Its large muzzle resembles the beam rifle used by the Legend Gundam. Its incredible durability is truly surprising. Take the atmospheric clay entry scene, for example. The Rising Freedom uses its shield to protect itself from the heat. Its wings remain exposed just like the original Freedom Gundam, which had wings that doubled as radiators. The Rising Freedom likely spreads its wings to efficiently dissipate heat. Remarkably, the beam rifle is mounted outside the shield. Atmospheric re-entry generates intense heat. On the Archangel, a special gel was needed to survive it. Yet, this beam rifle endures the heat with no visible special protection and functions flawlessly in the ensuing battle. A similar scene occurs in Sea Destiny, where Zaku Warrior's hand grenade survives re-entry. It appears that Zaku's weapon technology may have advanced heat resistance. Although the beam rifle appears to be usable in mobile armor mode, it is never shown firing in that form. During the opening battle, a shot destroys a Gundam's head, but it's unclear who fired it. However, since the shot was fired while the theme song Freedom was playing, it's reasonable to assume that the Rising Freedom in mobile armor mode used the beam rifle. That said, there's no definitive proof. It's also possible that Lunamir took the shot. Next is the Belsina Beam Saber. As with previous Freedom Gundams, the two hilts can be combined to form the ambidextrous halberd mode. However, this combined form is never used in Seed Freedom. The Beam Saber boasts incredible power and can easily destroy the destroyed Gundam's Stam Faust in a single blow. Next is the Ultra High Impulse Cannon, Stam Spurher. According to the cockpit display, it is a positron cannon rather than a beam cannon. The movie pamphlet refers to it as the Agni Cannon. In the magazine interview, the production team mentioned that during development, they casually refer to red, thick beam weapons as Agni cannons. In the Seed series, red beam weapons are named Agni Tsukiobola Ener and Kalides. Using the official names for everything would have slowed production, so Agni was likely just a placeholder that made it into the early materials. During the Kaji battle, the Rising Freedom's Bola Ener is fired for a longer duration than the original Freedoms and is even used like a beam saber. This subtle detail highlights the power and refinement of the Rising Freedom as a mobile suit. During the battle against the Black Knight Squad, when the Stam Spurher was aimed at Griffin's unit, he retreated, and Ridder's unit launched a flank attack. The Black Knight Squad is equipped with Pentotech armor, which nullifies beam weapons, so if the Storm Spurha were just a beam cannon, the Black Knight Squad could have ignored it. Griffin's retreat suggests that the Storm Spurha might indeed be a positron cannon. Since it is stored in the wings, it looks like it could be used in mobile armor form, but there is no scene in the story where it is used in mobile armor form. Next is the Viper 3 Railgun. This powerful weapon fires metal rounds and is seen destroying a Gundam's shield. It could potentially be effective against Pentotech armor as well. However, it has a drawback. The barrel must deploy before firing. This creates an opening that's sure exploited to destroy the weapon. Although the Viper 3 railgun is primarily a physical projectile weapon, related railguns used by the Blast Impulse and the gates are all said to be capable of firing plasma energy as well. It's possible that the Rising Freedom's railgun has that same capability. It is often shown firing both barrels simultaneously, but it can also be used one at a time. In one scene, Kira uses a railgun to destroy Zin's leg. Then, he uses the recoil to reorient in under J-beam rifle shot. Next is the Shield Boomerang. It's the latest version of the Flash Edge, which was used by the Sword Impulse and the Destiny Gundam. This weapon combines a beam blade with a shield and can fly. Although it is called a beam boomerang, its appearance while flying closely resembles the Photon from the Justice Gundam series. However, no official source mentions that Photon technology was used in its design. The shield boomerang also protects the mobile suit during atmospheric ray entry, though the high-grade Gunpla manual states that ray entry is possible even without the shield. It is currently unknown how it is controlled after being launched. Since the original Flash Edge was set to use a simplified Dragoon system, it's likely that this one uses similar technology. It can precisely target small objects like a tank turret, even while flying. Its thrusters are powerful enough to cut through the destroyed Gundam's arm without slowing down. Even when attached to the arm, the beam saber can be used. This was demonstrated during the Eldo battle when Kira used it to intercept the Black Knight Squad. During transformation into mobile armor mode, the shield boomerang is guided back onto the body via laser tracking. Though it's only speculation, the side structure may have been weakened to accommodate the beam blade mechanism. Although the shield can usually withstand the Black Knight Squad's blades, it was damaged when it clashed with Riderad's sword. At that moment, Kira swung the shield while the beam blade was active, resulting in a direct hit to the side and causing the damage. The concept of a multifunctional shield is similar to the designs of the Blitz Gundam and the Gates, though no official materials have confirmed the direct technological link. Lastly, there's the defensive beam shield, named Infector. In Latin, the name means to die or to color. The beam shield is used when the shield boomerang is separated or lost. One downside of beam-based defenses is the bright light they emit when activated, making them easily visible to enemies. The model number prefix MMI indicates that it is a product of most military industries, a plant-based stance developer. MMI is often responsible for Zaft mobile suit shields. MMI designed all of the second stage series shields. The Shield of Rising Freedom allows us to understand the fact that Maya's military industries has acquired the technology to manufacture beam shields and has mastered them at a practical level. These developments raise an interesting question. Why did Front choose to cooperate with Compass? It may not have been purely out of goodwill. Perhaps accessing and developing new technologies was a key motivation. How does the Rising Freedom fare in the story? I plan to cover its battles with powerful enemies in separate episodes. For now, let's talk about the battle at the beginning of the story. At the beginning of the film, there is a battle in the Kanji region, specifically the confrontation with the destroyed Gundam. There is a scene where the Rising Freedom narrowly dodges a beam from the destroyed Gundam from very close range. This moment brings to mind Ammo Ray from the original Gundam series. Kira's precise, minimal movement highlights his exceptional piloting skills. However, it's also possible that he was intentionally trying to draw the destroyed Gundam's attention. Kira clearly wants to prevent civilians on the ground from being caught in the crossfire. If that's his goal, then it makes strategic sense to make himself appear as the greater threat, something the enemy pilot feels must be dealt with. Kira isn't the type of person to show off by taking unnecessary risks. Of course, this is only speculation, but the following supports that idea. The destroyed Gundam soon shifts its focus and begins targeting Kira specifically. This is a clear change from its earlier behavior when it indiscriminately fired beams at civilians despite stuffed mobile suits being right in front of it. Kira then destroys the destroyed Gundam's arm, the very one that had been pursuing the Rising Freedom. He uses a clever tactic, sending out a beam boomerang from a different direction to strike the arm while luring the attack with his own unit. This strategy of using himself as bait to lure the enemy's fire and then counter-attacking directly is similar to the tactics used by Groha Maker in Gundam 00. Finally, when the destroyed Gundam charges all its beam cannons for a full barrage, Kira counters with the high-mark full burst. With its chest-mounted beam cannons destroyed, the destroyed Gundam attempts to retaliate with its head-mounted cannon, but Kira predicts this as well. A beam boomerang rushes in from the side and strikes the head, disabling the mobile suit entirely. If you look closely, you notice that the destroyed Gundam's cockpit remains intact. The pilot survived. Observing the destroyed Gundam piloted by Stella in Sea Destiny clearly shows where the cockpit is located. What became of the pilot after this battle remains unknown. However, we can hope to see him return in the future spin-off. Now, let's discuss the Freedom Theft incident. This event is different from the one depicted in Freedom Zero, in which the Strike Freedom was stolen. When the movie was released, Bandai launched a project called Gundam Medals, which combined internet and VAR technologies. In that virtual space, fans could view a 3D model of the latest gunplay at the time the Rising Freedom. However, hidden within the Gundam Medals data was something unexpected actual part data for the Rising Freedom gunplay kit. Some people extracted that data and used it to create the model kit before its official release. This led some fans to dub the event the Freedom Theft Incident. The concept of a Gundam being stolen is a common theme in the Gundam series. But no one could have predicted that it would happen in the real world. Here's a fun bit of trivia. There are actually two Freedom Theft incidents, one in the anime and one in real life. What part of the Rising Freedom do you find most appealing? I love the way it stores beam cannons in its wings, just like the original Freedom Gundam. That classic silhouette really hits home for long-time fans. It's such a cool design choice. Thanks so much for watching until the end. See you in the next episode.